fall of 1989, I was actually studying abroad. I was a college student, and I was studying abroad in Denmark in 1989. I was studying what then was known as East-West business relations, something that very rapidly disappeared in the 1990s. But there was something called East-West business relations. I was a study abroad student. For those of you who have college students, let me tell you something. It is no longer study abroad. It is drinking abroad, okay? They are going there for a 4-month vacation to drink and pick up a couple of classes that they're going to get a pass-fail grade in. All right, does everybody understand this, that you're paying for your kids to go on vacation? But back when I went, we actually did a little bit of studying, and we took a study tour to what was then East Berlin. I drove through Checkpoint Charlie. They looked underneath our buses to see if anybody was hiding up underneath there, took our passports, came onto the bus, the whole thing. 3 weeks after I went through Checkpoint Charlie, something remarkable happened. The Berlin Wall fell like that. Do you guys remember 1989 when the Berlin Wall just came down? Like if you weren't paying attention, you missed it. It just happened that quickly. And the history, the economic and the political history of the Western world changed in front of our eyes in a short couple of months. Very, very quickly. Now the reason that's important for our story today is this. When the Berlin Wall fell and Germany was reunified, 2 things occurred. Number 1, the reunification of East Germany and West Germany created, right in the center of Europe, a massive export-oriented powerhouse economy right in the middle of Europe. So if you think about what's going on today and why Germany is dominating the economic discussions that's going on, it's because that experience, whether you took old East Germany and West Germany and put them together, when you did that, you created a huge industrial export-oriented powerhouse economy right in the middle of Europe. The second thing that the reunification of Germany accomplished was it lit a fire underneath the Euro project. Now see, the idea of a single currency for Europe, it'd been around since the 1950s. It wasn't a new idea in the 90s. It had been around since the 1950s when policymakers in Western Europe said one way that we could politically unify and hopefully prevent things like World War I and World War II from happening again is we could undertake massive political unification. That's what they were going after. And the way that we would unify politically is we would adopt a common currency. The common currency, by the way, would be one step on the road to political unification. It'd be one step on the road. But the reunification of Germany in the late 80s, early 90s, lit a fire under the single currency project. Now, the Maastricht Treaty was fully enforced by 1992. Took 8 years to create the European Central Bank and the common currency. Okay, it was a long-term project. So this idea that we're going to solve Europe's problems in a year is ridiculous. It took 8 years to create the common currency. But what's most sort of important for our story today, if you sort of think about it, this sort of creation of the common currency, what we need to understand today is this. Back in the 90s, there were many economists, one in particular, Mundell, who won a Nobel Prize, second one, Martin Feldstein, who came out and said, the euro will never work. It's not going to work, and here's why. Europe is not an optimal currency area. Europe is not an optimal currency area. Now, when the economists came out and said this, guess what? They didn't get invited back to next year's conference.